Welcome to our Summers project. Summers, Victoria. Beautiful property here designed by Selwyn Blackstone, overlooks Western Port Bay. Takes full advantage of the bay views. You can see Flinders and the Nobbies of Phillip Island in the distance. And interesting site, triangular site, very small opening at the top here on a cul-de-sac, and then falls dramatically away to a cliff edge that goes down to the waterline. So come on down, but the main access through here is a big curved central element that runs right through the property, sculptural form, and we come in from curbside down through to a garage area, which is the actually mid-level of the house. The house then drops down to a lower area, and we've got an upper level, so three-tiered house, but entering in the middle with the sweeping views across the bay, and takes full advantage of view lines. But very, very cleverly designed property, and quite a challenging build, but very, very rewarding finished product. But come on in. Welcome to our Summers project with this beautiful view looking out over Western Port Bay. Picks up the Flinders on the point there and across to Phillip Island and the Nobbies. Yeah, spectacular view. We spent 2 years here building, and every time I come back I think, why didn't I take in that view a little bit more? But like every job, it becomes a building site and you're in the daily grind. But amazing spot to work, and amazing spot for a beautiful home. House is designed by Selwyn Blackstone, and we were lucky enough to be the builders, and enjoyed a great build here. Complex site, triangular, up to a little cul-de-sac, so very tight frontage entry from the road. Falls dramatically from road point through the site, and then drops off on the cliff down to the beachfront. So it had to be a very strategic build. There's a lot of planning and consideration about losing access and making the most of the limited accesses we had. And as we built our way out, obviously that access diminished to the point where those things you couldn't re-access the front of the site. So even there's some crane work, a lot of excavation work here. It's a slip zone, so the main house is sitting on piles that I think go down sort of 12 metres. The swimming pool is also sitting on piles, and the idea there is if there's ever a slip, the main structure is still tied into the main ground area and being considered. So interesting build, heavy site cut where come in down from the road front and into the garage, which is on this level, which is sort of the mid-level. There's an upper level and a lower level. And then we had a very deep site cut, lower slab, and that then sort of comes out, and there's some cantilevered decking areas and a swimming pool with a wet edge that sort of looks over Western Port. The site and the design opens out and really encapsulates the view from most vantage points. So I think that Selwyn Blackstone's done a remarkable job with really working with an incredible site and a tricky site, and a lot of natural light, striking views, and a real consideration to view lines, yet a privacy from the outside world. So I think adjoining neighbours and adjoining properties are carefully worked with, so there's natural light but a real sense of privacy. So amazing design, and amazing job to be involved in as the builder. So we'll have a bit of a wander around this area. Main sort of living, dining, kitchen. So the main entry, big feature door, opens up and comes past a central stairwell with a curved wall that runs right out on quite a big radius point, but runs out onto the sort of entry elements and comes right through the property, and that's sort of the main tie through the different levels and central element of that design. So you then open up into this area. The beautiful French suspended fireplace sits here. Kitchen, dining, living, all taking that view, and then outdoor entertainment. All these doors, big big sliders open up, so the area can be really opened up, and that inside-outside area on nice weather can be utilised, but it can be also closed up and bunkered down when the weather's not so good, and that happens here. I think there's a few times during the build, twice in that 2 years, we had heavy wind off the bay, and we actually had scaffold planks, big heavy 2.4 by 200 scaffold planks actually lifted off and thrown back into the project with the wind. So it comes across Western Port, pushed up the cliff face, and then was lifting those planks off the scaffold. So heavy weather, and the house is it's 10 years old now, so it's done really well. It still looks as good as it did on day one. It's great selection of materials and detailing, where the house has stood up to time and hasn't felt that severe weathering. There's also a lot of clever use of blinds and curtains. There's a partly recessed pelmet detail where we've built in a black laminate pelmet box, and then we've got that comes down to a pointed 45-degree chamfer, and that's black edge behind, and the ceiling colour flows in onto the front. So it gives you quite a nice semi-integrated detail when you haven't got a lot of room to work with depth, and the black blinds just sort of disappear with that black pelmet. But it also means this whole area, it's so open and exposed and takes in the beautiful view, but it can also be toned down and bunkered up, and you can turn it into a cosy space with dropping blinds and curtains. There's a use between drop down blinds and shears, so you can also play with privacy and still maintain some light aspects through the project. But that pelmet detail flows through to all rooms. There's some highlight windows here in the dining vestibule, and again, good sense of privacy, but still getting some good natural light into the areas. The joinery was all imported from Italy, and this ceramic hybrid finish was quite new at the time. So it's a laminated ceramic. The faces of the drawers are also in the same material. So very, I'm not sure that this is actually that prevalent still now in Australia, but big format drawers, very thin ceramic facings. The actual kitchen sink is moulded out of the same ceramic, so it miters down, and then you've got an inset sink, so it's all out of the same material. Very thin profiles. And drawer fronts here, when you look at that, that's almost like a 2 metre drawer face. So pretty impressive. And then sub drawers internally, with beautiful timbered partitioning for break up of drawers for cutlery and so forth. But nice detailing, finger pulls, so very seamless. Two-packed areas. The doors here with inbuilt finger pulls, which is very nice, and very large format doors, pocket doors that slide away. We can pop a link in our profile there on Gregor, who's Sydney operator that's importing all this joinery from Italy. But got beautiful inset LED lights that are actually on inbuilt sensors. Again, another product that I haven't seen here in Australia, that switches on with movement. So this can be left open, and you access the space, and the lights will pop on. But nice detailing. The back of these pocket doors too have got the little stuck in thin backing plate, and then you've got the nice rebated pocket, finger pocket. So not beautiful detailing, and the whole area can be sort of locked away and becomes more hidden. And then we've got microwave and oven again, hidden behind joinery, and that's not something you sort of see all the time. Often that stuff's sort of on main display, and you're looking at it. But galvanized plies is, sometimes I think it's probably nice to see some of those things, but it's also nice to tuck it all away and hide it. Integrated fridge and freezer, pigeon pair. Now again, but again nicely integrated into joinery where they disappear. Pantry with side lighting switches on as you open it. Tucked around the corner, here's a butler's pantry with a second kitchen. Got a big burgundy splashback wall there. All the spaces sort of blend and sort of seamlessly tie in with each other. The cooktop and downdraft range hood. Another nice aspect where we've got no overhead, no range hood, but you've got the downdraft that pops up and will pull cooking smoke and fumes away and down, and that exits through the side of the building in the subfloor. But again, just nice detailing where you've got open spaces, and you haven't got the heaviness of a range hood in the space. So that's the kitchen. Again, looking out at Western Port, huge big expanses of glass. A lot of that glass was craned in, so there was again sort of formatting, programming, timing, and staging to have cranes strategically sort of placed and some of those big elements brought in. There's also a lot of standing seam metalwork on a lot of that upper cladding, and that's all nicely mitered and wrapped around that big opening. There's also two big glass fins there that give that huge expansive glass support with the battering wind, and you can see that sort of 15mm toughened fins that sort of sit in there and don't sort of add too much break to the view, but give you that strength and enable you to have that large expanse of glass. So again, hidden pelmet up atop, full drop down blinds, and then you can see outside here the standing seam. This whole window is sort of framed externally with the standing seam profile, and it really opens up and swallows that view. So quite a special spot. We'll wander through to the main stair area. Again, this same ceramic profile we've used and created like a little niche there and put in a suspended shelf with a light, and this sort of doubles as a firewood area for the fire, but a nice integration. If you wander around there, you can kind of sort of see the curve in the stair. I'm not sure what the radius point is, but you can see it actually wraps around and then to the outside it goes past the front door and wraps around in a tiled format. But this is like the main big spine of the home, and it continues through in the lower area as well. The treads here are oak, solid oak, and they backspan into this wall and cantilever out. So they're cantilevered stair, so not with a traditional steel side string and cantilevered steel section. That's solid timber cantilevering out of a timber supported wall, and then the glass here ties in to all the treads, and these huge glass sheets go down through multiple levels, and we had to set up gantry here, and the glass had to come in on rollers, and then this was all templated with MDF and all set up on site, and got all the detailing right, the holes in the right spot, and then that was all cut and toughened and bought here and put in place. But it was bought in, again, steep site. We had to track areas down to get the glass in, and then we had a gantry that we had over the stairwell, and we could that cantilever, and then we could spin it and lower it, and then we had some temporary sled sort of propping areas, and then we were able to drill and put all our patch fittings into the end of the treads. So really the glass is actually supported by the cantilevered treads. The treads are doing all the work. The glass is suspended as well. It's not fixed other than to the ends of the treads. And then the balustrade and or handrail is tied on there with patch fittings. And you can see up through the top there, we've left a cutout section that enables for hand cleaning on the glass, and also there's reverse patch fittings that then come off this side facade. So a lot of careful, well-planned consideration with the features there. The flooring too, we've taken the floorboards and they have been wrapped around, so they've been mitered back at the joinery. We've mitered these with a 45-degree miter, and the grain wraps around, which you'll see more on some other shots. But that it's a nice detail. So the whole floor was laid from that point, so we've got that wrap around, and then on the end of the stairwell where the flooring finishes, it's wrapped across on a 90-degree on the end of the board, so the grain flows around. So yeah, quite little details that probably are often not appreciated. Big pivot door. It's finished in a bronze 2-packed finish, and the handle has been handcrafted in England and sent out, and that's on both sides of the door. But that's a driftwood branch and fixed on there as a door handle. Mid bedroom, again, amazing view. Slider opens up, gives you access through to the main deck viewing area. Again, integrated block out and shear. Inbuilt lineal slot heating and cooling throughout. So again, just that integration of joinery again, all robes from, if I can open it. There we go. So some nice odd-sized doors, which is I quite like. There's a bigger panel and a smaller panel, rather than just dividing up everything evenly. They do the offset, and then if you look in there, we've got the contrasting, a bit hard to come around, but contrasting colour insets. So quite nice joinery. Simple, mirrored end, gives you that reflective view and a sense of space. And then bathrooms, en-suites off each bedroom. Large format tiles. Again, the ceramic tops, stone carved basins and baths. And again, an amazing view, sitting in the bath, looking out at the bay and watching the weather roll in. Again, integrated joinery. The tiling here, we've got mitered tiles that come all those key areas are mitered around. I actually did the tiling on this project, so we can try and find some fault with that as we walk around. But the mitered again with the same tile and mitering round on those key areas, which is a nice detail. And then set back. We often work with this detail where we have just the one step down, so the tile thickness to where the tiling starts in the shower area is often just the thickness of a tile, but it gives that very seamless feel through. A lot of bathrooms we're doing with a slot drain that's hidden. Some of the master ensuite has that. These bathrooms have got the central waste. Shaving cabinets built in with mirrors. These were obviously made these locally. They weren't imported, but again, just a nice detail. Yeah, when we look out here at this main deck area, a lot of detailing just to take into consideration. Heavy weather, rain, driving wind. We have a full perimeter drain here. So under here, there is a stainless steel drain that comes across, down, across, up and across, and it finishes as part of the subsill. So it's a fully welded, fully enclosed drain, and it's then Sikaflexed and fitted, and the subsill of the window is fitted to that. So it's fully sealed, and then the front edge of that drain is then waterproofed in with the waterproof membrane on the deck. So any driving wind and rain can often enter a building at that point with that, and it can even push water up and in. So I think with that perimeter drain, it's very seamless there. It's just a small gap enough to be able to hose that out and clean it. fully stainless, fully welded, is a detail that has served this well. There's been no water ingress issues on this balcony, so I think that's sort of testament to that area. The downpipe here also runs into a stainless section of that drain that then goes through to a stainless pop and another downpipe below. So again, that integration. And then when we look on the front edge, so all the tiles fall to the face. There's a drain on the front here, and you can see obviously that's wider to enable with cleaning there. There's some leaves in there at the moment. But again, that is stainless. It comes down, across the bottom, up, and then it gets waterproofed in under the main tile line. And then they all have falls, obviously, to drain and pop locations where the water drains out. So I think with any balcony drainage, obviously there's maintenance and ongoing debris collection. But so far, this project's now 10 years old, and we've had no issues with this area. The other detail here is we've got a Lucabond facings here. So you can see the facings wrapped around, and then we have a 10mm shadow line. So it's a drip groove. So any driving rain and wind that's falling down the face of that facade and rolls across the front is encouraged to drop off of that drip groove. The Sky-On Axon 10mm compressed sheet to these areas with a 10mm shadow behind, and again that's sitting up fractionally higher from the front, and again with that 10mm gap encourages that drip motion. So you can probably also see around the front, if we film around there, you can see that large window and some of the detailing on the metalwork as that wraps around and frames that main window. But incredible view, and Western Port, I think you can see down the bottom there's a fire pit area that we've got a timber sleeper wall and timber sleeper cantilevered seat, so that's quite special. And then when you're looking down onto the pool above here, we also have there's a wet edge there. So from inside the house and looking out, the water meets water, and a gravel moat that sits around the outside. So I don't know. If we're looking as we're coming down, you can see that mitered floorboard that wraps around. So grain wraps around with a 45 cut, and then we've got a plaster shadow that just nicely finishes, wraps around the end, and the timber boards at the end here are wrapped on their face and down. Again, when you're looking back the other way, that main big central spine, the lower stair is actually on a central stringer, so it doesn't cantilever as the upper area does, but you can see that main curve line and wraps out through the front entry and onto that tiled element. Lower section here, big sliding doors. They open up the full way. Massive bits of glass, but quite a large format, and you can open up the whole area. So break down those boundaries, and big opening area. Side boundary fence, there's a tandoor here and a barbecue, sort of for Indian naan bread and outdoor cooking. Still semi-integrated with the house through glass, but you've got undercover access out and in. Outdoor dining, we have glass on spigots, door access through. There's a pool cover that wraps underneath the cedar slatted area there, so the whole pool can get covered and help keep debris out of the pool, but also help loss of heat when the pool's been heated. And again, just that openness to the bay, outdoor shower. So very special spot. Again, the Sky-On Axon on the ceiling here. You can sort of see on the heaters here a bit of the build up of that sea salt with that sort of extremity of weather. But a lot of the surfaces, and rendered surfaces and the metal surfaces are pretty, in pretty good nick. If you pan up at some of that area there, like it's, I think the biggest maintenance item is really spiders and spider webs on some of these facades. But I think the durability factor is pretty impressive, and it's doing its thing. Little uplight here, little detail, just some subtle uplighting. As you come through to the main cinema area. Cinema's got the night sky with that flickering little pin lights. Tiered stage for viewing and cinema screen, and roll out the red carpet. So it's quite a simple cinema room, lots of space. Little powder room here on the lower level. Lights here turn on with a sensor. Nice low ambient light. Hidden behind the door here, we've got the hidden shower and steam room. So this doubles as a shower area, but also can be used as a steam room. On the wall here, you've got your controls, seat, you can sit in there. Angled, powder coated aluminium ceiling. Condensate forms and rolls off to the side. A steam outlet on the bottom there, but this is really a powder room and change room for the lower level and swimming pool. So it ticks both of those boxes. Lower bedroom sort of picks up again from above. So same footprint, same view, but looking out onto the garden opposed to the upper decked area. Get back into the robed area. And then, lower bathroom. So again, bath and views through to the bay and across the swimming pool. We've got a lift at the end here, which goes up through the 3 levels. So it gives you, access at any time without taking the stairs. Another spare bedroom off the main entry. The door here is a pivot door, and it sits on that line of that curved main central wall. View lines down the side of the house, and then ensuite, shower, toilet and basin, natural light from the front and privacy. And we'll just go up to the master bedroom and study. So laser cut sort of screened area on the stairwell light, just to provide privacy. Study, which is doing a little bit of stuff there at the moment. And then we're into the master bedroom. So obviously looking across roof lines here, but very private and amazing outlook to Western Port. See straight across to Phillip Island, Flinders on the other side of the entrance there. And then the bottom here of Western Port, you've got that big tidal difference, so you get that beautiful the rock showing, and the sand in a sort of green seaweed bank that runs right through the middle there. So that's always changing as the tide changes each day. And then you've always got that white water out at the heads where you've got the smashing waves around Seal Rock and the rush of those tides, but very beautiful outlook. So we come through master ensuite, bath, and again looking at an incredible view, built-in pelmets, and then the shower base here. It's a full wet area, so the full shower base falls to one side, and very neat lineal slot base in the bottom for catching water. Integrated mitered tile lines around for niches. A lot of the tiles are all mitered up and around into window areas, and then that big section of glass dividing wet area from the toilet and basin area. So yeah, a nice airy open space.